Beautiful. Thank you so much. You're always there for me. What is she saying about Christ consciousness, right? God within us, always there, everywhere we go. So let me adjust my microphone. Can you still hear me? Okay. Great. Well, hi, everyone. It's Rebelin. I'm back. Call me Rep Evie or Evelyn. Um, Rebelin is just a smash up of Reverend Evelyn because it's a mouthful. So it's Palm Sunday. Thank you for having me back. It's such an honor, sacred honor to be here today. Um, Palm Sunday is about awakening the Christ consciousness within us. That's the whole story of Jesus walking into the city on the donkey and the palm fronds and all of that stuff. And, I prayed about sharing a talk metaphysically, but Spirit said no, something else. So I'm listening. And if anyone wants to have a metaphysical conversation about the story of Jesus writing in, we can do that after the service. So for today, I want I want to have you listen to the service with three questions in mind, and just to hold it in and have this in mind in the context of what I'm going to share with you. So here are the questions. Palm Sunday invites us to ask of ourselves. Number one, what lower beliefs or fears can I lay down? Lay down today, right here, right now. Number two, where in my life am I being called to welcome a new consciousness, a new way of being? Number three, how am I preparing the way for Christ consciousness in my heart? So I'm going to repeat it because usually when I'm sitting on the other side, I go, what was number one again? Heck. Number one, what lower beliefs, fears can I lay down? What can I give up today? Number two, where in my life am I called to usher in a new way of thinking, a new consciousness, a new mindset? Number three, how am I preparing myself for that Christ consciousness to awaken in my heart? Am I out of the way? Am I in the way? Do I need to be right? Am I surrendering? Or am I holding on really tight? So those three questions, hold in prayer. And whatever you remember, it's fine. It's perfect for you. So don't feel the need to have to remember all of it either. Okay. So Robert so generously contacted me this week and asked me, hey, do you have any slides? And I said, oh, didn't think about that. So I made slides. This is off my normal thing. I'm going to try to keep to it so that he doesn't go crazy because I have 8 slides. So let's follow along. All right. So number one, this is Palm Sunday, and I have a reading and a reflection for you. This is from a reading from an author called Fleming Rutledge. If anybody knows him, then you're in for a treat. If not, then just be present and listen. So this is called The Triumph is Hidden. So some of us process better when we have our eyes closed. If you feel that's the need, go for it. Close your eyes and just listen to this. Palm Sunday is not a dress rehearsal for Easter. It is the turning point, the moment the shadow of the cross darkens the jubilant cries of Hosanna. Jesus does not enter Jerusalem to seize power, but to surrender to it. The crowd is thrilled by the idea of a victorious Messiah, yet Jesus rides a donkey, signaling peace, not war. Their expectations are about to be shattered. We want triumph without sacrifice, glory without suffering, Easter without Good Friday. But Jesus shows us another way, the way of hidden triumph, a victory that looks like defeat, a power that is made perfect in weakness. From Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. So this moment, Palm Sunday, is not just about celebration. It's about transition. It's about our becoming. It's about surrendering the old, ushering in the new. It's about something greater than ourselves, right? So today I want to talk about what that means to let go, to release, to surrender, not to fear or passivity, but to the Christ presence within us all. So we are living in a very sacred time. There's lots of change, lots of temptation to hold tight because things are transitioning and changing. So, what arises within us all is the need to control or to grip onto or to be strong. But the invitation for Palm Sunday is much, much deeper. So, there's a story I want to share with you that I love, and it's from the jungle. And it's titled The Monkey and the Fist. So, I want to tell you about this monkey because I think it'll hit home. Hunters would place a fruit inside a box with a small hole. Does anybody know this story? No, okay. Somebody does over there. Just large enough for the monkey's hand. So the monkey would reach into the box and grab the fruit. But then he can't pull his hands out. Why? Because of the fist, right? He's holding on. The opening was too small for a clenched fist. All the monkey had to do to be free was to let go, but it didn't because there was food there. There was an incentive, right? It stayed trapped by its own unwillingness to release what it thought it needed. Attachment is the great fabricator of illusions. Reality can be attained only by someone who is detached. That's a quote from Simon Weil. So then the question is, in that context, what are you holding on to that keeps you stuck? So if you're human, and I think we all are, no Martians in here today, uh, you'll find that there's always something in life that challenges you. I do. Uh, it's our growing edge, so to speak. And if we feel stuck on something, be it money or relationships, our health, um, the invitation is to just take a look at that and to see what we can surrender so that we can free ourselves from being attached to whatever that is. Because each and every single one of us have a custom curriculum. You know, they call it the school of life, right? Each of us are in school right now, the school of life. So, what is your custom lesson? And what do you need to release to go on to the next chapter or lesson or phase in life? So, this story hits home in more than one way. And I know the question's there. So, these slides were supposed to come in this way. I thought it was so cool, right? It's like, okay, click one, click two, click three. It doesn't work. So, we're just going to go with this. Um, so, last time I talked about giving birth, right? So, as a mother, one of my most sacred and most difficult practices is learning to let go of the past versions of my children. I talked this morning with someone about complicated grief and grief itself, right? So, letting go of our children is very, very complicated. And we don't even think about it. We just think, just kind of mush it down, forget about it, and um, not even deal with it sometimes. So there was a time when my little ones would reach for my hand instinctively to sit close to tell me every detail of their life. And I found myself kind of clinging to that sweetness. You know, you mothers out there, you kind of know what I'm talking about, grasping for just a few more moments with your kids. Um, but as children grow, they change. And so if we keep holding on to what they were, we would not be present to the miracle that they're becoming. My children are teenagers now, so it's a very present story for me. As we know, teenagers need to go. and they change and they need to grow beyond their programming, so to speak. And so I thought I'd share that with you. In every phase of life, if you take that understanding of children growing into different phases, they cannot move on to the next phase of life if we keep them small where they are. So every phase of life invites a new version of us, of me. And to meet that version, I must release my old one, my old version of them, of me, of what is. So a Bible quote from Ecclesiastes 3:1, and this is a familiar one. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So letting go is not loss. It's love, it's trust, it's evolution, and it's coming back to that Christ divinity within us to know that we're always taken care of, regardless of how we may feel or the circumstance or situation before us. So if you keep holding on to what is, you miss the miracle of what's unfolding. And this is exactly what Jesus modeled for us. He didn't come into Jerusalem with swords and soldiers. He came with surrender, riding a donkey, open-hearted, aligned with his purpose and a deeper truth. From Matthew 5:5, the meek shall inherit the earth. His power is not in control, but in consciousness. And that consciousness, that Christ mind, lives in us, in all of us. In our community here, we affirm that Jesus was not the great exception. He's our master teacher. He was the great example. He's the way shower for our beingness and our becoming as well. In that Christ's presence, it's not somewhere out there. It's alive in every single one of us. So from 1 Corinthians 3:16, do you not know that you're God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? And here's the thing. We don't hear the presence in the noise. Where do we hear the presence? In the silence. Yeah, we practice it every time we come together. You got to get away from Grand Central, right? Ram Dass says, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. So I'm going to share with you something about Martin Niemöller. Anyone know who he is? Okay, who said that? Awesome, great. He's a German Lutheran pastor. He's a theologian who supported Hitler at one point and then became a vocal critic of the Nazi regime, eventually spending years in the concentration camps himself for his resistance. So he says, first they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Martin Luther King Jr. says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So I'm sharing this message because I think we are in very volatile and pivotal times. And the talk today is not about politics. It's about presence, right? It's about staying spiritually awake in times of trial and about being the light, even if it feels inconvenient or costly. And so letting go and going into right action, what do we do? What does that look like? So I've asked myself this so many times, especially lately, right? So this past week, my son and my husband were in New York City. My son's 17. He's a participant of Model UN. I don't know if does anybody know what that is? Yes. So they're children, they're in school, and they model UN. So my son, who's 17, had to write a position paper. Very adult. Like all of a sudden, he's an adult. I can only imagine, like remember him as a child, right? His position paper was on how to safeguard biological and chemical weapons to keep the world sick. So I had the privilege of talking to him through that as he was working at home. Anyway, they were in New York this week because of that. And they were actually supposed to be here today in sacred service to clear the back. But his plane didn't get in till like 2:00, 2:30 last night because it was a delay. So he's not able to be here today, which is a shame because I think you would enjoy him. He's a fine young man. Anyway, so he was in New York. And one of the things about New York that I loved when I lived there is, well, okay, so who all's been to New York? Yes? All right. And who's lived there before? Okay, good. I've lived in New York before. I was there during 9/11. Whole different talk altogether. But so what I love about New York is that I can go out into the world and it's loud and there's stimulus from everywhere and it's like Grand Central. But when I go back into my apartment and I close the door, the world is out there and I'm in my sacred sanctuary. It's quiet. It's quiet in there. And so that's one of the things that reminds me of going into the silence. When we're living life, we have stimulus, we have our friends, we have our family, we have our situations and circumstances. But when we go into the silence, that's our sanctuary. That's where we meet that Christ consciousness. We get in touch with the divine within us. And that space, I don't know for you, but for me, it opens up. It becomes my sanctuary, that quiet space. It's my inner temple. And so the world could roar outside, but inside I was centered. Similar to being in New York City. You come back to your apartment, it's quiet. And so that's what I invite you to return to today and every day. Today and every day to come back into your own sanctuary today and every day. That Christ consciousness within, the stillness, it's our spiritual truth and it's our path to awakening. So in Psalms 46, and this is all over everywhere, there's actually a wall hanging back there that says, "Peace, be still," right? So from Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." And I am missing the last piece of my notes. Where did it go? It was- Can we go to the next slide? Good. I don't need my notes. It brings us back to our principles because our principles is our guiding light. And whenever possible, I always come back to this because I don't think that we talk about it enough. And when we talk about it enough, do we practice it? And when we practice it, are we taking it out into the world? So these are the 5 principles. I use the children's version, which is highlighted in red. God is. What is it that we say here in our community? There's only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God the good, omnipotent. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Okay, great. So God is. Number 2, I am. So there's a spark of divinity in me. So therefore, God lives in, through, and as me, from me, and as me, right? Number 3, I think. Thoughts held in mind produce after the kind. This is from Charles Fillmore directly. And number 4 is I pray. So prayer and meditation is our going into the silence. That's where we touch, we meet up with Christ consciousness. That's the sanctuary in our hearts and in our mind. And then I act. So it's not enough to know the truth. Not enough to do this work. We've got to take it out into the public, right? So this is very interesting because the closing was really very, very good. Let's see what the next slide says. Okay, here you go. It's an affirmation. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes for a minute and just affirm with me the affirmation on the board here. Good. And take a deep breath. Christ in me, I surrender. Together. Christ in me, I surrender. I am willing to listen. Together. I am willing to listen. I let go. I trust. I rise. Together. Who is rise? And so it is. Let's see the next slide. Here it goes. So, you guys, remember I said to you, I'm not used to using notes. This is what happens. Spirit says, hey, throw the notes out. Okay, you're no. So, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. This is Rumi's quote. And this is basically the crux and the basis of today's talk is to surrender and make way for Christ consciousness to be present. All right. So can we go to the next slide? All right. So good that we made it to the end. So I have this slide here because I come and I visit, and first of all, it's such a privilege and an honor. And then people ask me, well, how do I get in contact with you? How do I talk to you about this, that, and the other? And I thought, I'm going to throw this slide up. So if anyone wants to contact me, I have a website. Go find me there. You can actually leave a voice message for me on my website. There's like a microphone, and you press it and you talk, and make sure you leave your number so I can call you back.